You know, ladies and gentlemen, I think one of the, I was thinking about this question, and I think it's a question a lot of fans have asked. I mean, seeing as though it's been a year now since Worlds Collide officially began, the crossover between Sonic and Mega Man, and now we're getting multiple graphic novel volume collections of it. When I think about the fact that it's been a year now, it's kind of hard to believe that it's not just been a year since we got Worlds Collide, but it's actually been a year since the Mecha Sally arc ended without no real conclusion. And I guess the question that's asked in the title is, was it really, basically the question in the title is going to say it best, but I think it could all be summed up to, was the Mecha Sally arc really necessary? That's basically what it is. And I know a lot of people will say, well, you're just saying that because you didn't like what happened to Sally. And that might be partially true, but, even though I understand why Ian wanted to go in this direction, I really do, I kind of look at it like, was it really necessary to even have it go that long, go as long as you did? I mean, granted he had it going from basically October 2011 to essentially April, May of last year. So that's a pretty long time for a single arc in a Sonic comic by Archie kind of way. But the question is, was it really necessary? Especially when you take a look at the fact that he had to do tremendous rewrites. He had to do a lot of tremendous rewrites to certain elements of the arc that, because of this, he has to spend his time, which he actually has volunteered to do himself. He's actually volunteered to do himself as a bit of an apology. But he's actually dedicating some of his time, his busy schedule, to giving us what's called the Lost Hedgehog Tales. And basically, by doing so, through Lost Hedgehog Tales, show us what, allow us to read and see and show us exactly what he had originally planned. But again, despite all that, was Mecha Sally's arc really necessary? Was this Mecha Sally World Tour 2 Death Egg Mark II arc really necessary? Well, for the length of time it went, maybe, maybe not, but to me, if I was Ian Flynn, and I know Ian can't say much, but I know if I'm Ian Flynn and I had heard any kind of rumbling coming, if I would have heard any kind of rumbling, or any kind of rumor whatsoever that something might be going down, even if I didn't think it was true, and even though I thought, you know what, I'm just going to still go with what I have planned, I would have taken precautions. And again, I know Ian can't really say much, but I would have taken precautions. And the precautions I would have taken, ladies and gentlemen, is to write backup stories. I would have wrote backup stories in the same arc, or I would have shortened this arc so that at least I could get a proper conclusion out of it without having to do rewrites and then having to worry about softly retconning in softly rebooting the Sonic comic universe after a crossover with Mega Man. I would have figured out some. I would have basically gone and got myself some backup ideas, backup stories to do, instead of just rewrites. Because there have been plenty of fans, there have been not plenty of fans, but there have been some fans that have showcased throughout this past year exactly what was originally planned for some of these subplots in this major arc. For example, there was one fan that posted, courtesy of the Photo Bucket or something like that, the Photo Bucket account, posted basically what looked like, some fan or someone behind the scenes posted what looked like was originally storyboards intended, storyboard panels that were intended for endangered species in the way it was originally panned out to be. But because of the behind-the-scenes situation between Ken Penders, Archie Comics, and all that, and Sega, all that went out the window. So when one thinks about it, was the Mecha Sally arc really necessary, knowing what happened behind the scenes? I mean, again, if I'm Ian Flynn, and I'm hearing rumors and rumblings of something going down behind the scenes, something going down legally between the company I'm freelancing for, freelance working for, and a former freelance writer that used to work for them, you know. And again, this is just my opinion. This is my opinion and mere speculation. That I feel that if I was in Ian Flynn's position, I would have came up with a few backstories just in case, to make sure at least I can get a proper conclusion before Worlds Collide, or maybe even months before it. You know, and that way we can go right into Worlds Collide, have the crossover, and then come back. Now, I'm not saying what Ian Flynn did. Now, hear me out when I say this. I'm not saying what Ian Flynn did to try to fix this situation that basically affected the story itself. Hear me out. I'm not saying he didn't do a decent job. He did. And especially with the fact that he's working on multiple books, he did, and you have to agree with this, whether you like the guy or not, did a decent job. But when one thinks about it, was the Mecha Sally arc really necessary to go as long as it did? And was it really necessary because did it really accomplish its goal? Did it really come across as one of those stories that made you as a fan realize that anything could happen to any of the characters? That any of the characters could get roboticized, get roboticized, turned into a robot, get modified, get turned into a weaponized version of that robot, and get turned into a weaponized version of your roboticization. Did it accomplish its goal? Or was it just filler? Just something for shock value, as some people put it. So, again, the question is, was it necessary? I can't really, honestly, for as long as it went, I don't think it was really necessary to go that long. I mean, again, if I was Ian Flynn and I knew what was going to be happening behind the scenes, I would have changed course, ended it as quickly as I could, gave it a conclusion, and been done with it. Because right now, it's been a year since it's not had a proper conclusion. Now, some might say 252 gave it its conclusion, and that might be true, but still, it's like, the question is, was it necessary? Let me know what you guys think down below. I'll talk to y'all later. God bless. Take care.